Welcome everyone to News Evolution for Friday, October 2nd, 2020, with lots happening inside and out. And we're here with Patty Greer and Alfred Lambremont Webre and Laura Eisenhower in spirit. And Patty, take it away.
Well, thank you and welcome. Another month. This month is October already. You know, we've been in this pandemic, almost 7 or 8 months now. And without even meaning to, I took a big trip and got back into America on March 9th. And they locked down the country 2 days later. So I feel like with great intuition, I had to welcome this as I came home, because I was debating, should I take that Starlight train along the California and the whole West Coast, or should I go to Mexico? And I was like, hey, you know, I'm getting older. I may as well do both. Well, thank God I did, because who knows, the next time we'll be able to take that train if it's running still. I mean, so many things have shut down in a short period of time. And here we are in October with our News Evolution show, and Alfred and I and Laura each take our segment and we decide what is it we want to talk about. So in the last couple of days, I've been warming up and thinking, what's most important to me now? And, you know, how can I best serve and take advantage of the thousands of views that our shows get in all these different countries that have listened to you over the years, Alfred? And also from the photo that I've had to put up, not had to put up, but I just had a facial surgery this week and I've got stitches. So I thought, let's keep going on camera and pop up a photo. And this is definitely one of my favorite photos from the past, which is when I was filming crop circles in southern England. And on this particular day in 2014, I was filming Sasha Stone in that crop circle, and it was his first experience going in a crop circle. And as I look back at the career I was gifted it because I survived a really difficult challenge. In 2004, I trusted a dentist and his free nitrous oxide and leaned back. And when I woke up, instead of the porcelain fillings that I had agreed with him on, and it was in the chart, he put mercury fillings in my teeth, poisoned me. And I've been here 16 years dealing with a lot of effects of mercury poisoning. But let me tell you how I made lemonade out of it just this week. I wrote my doctor, who knows that I've had cuts on my fingertips for 16 years, and I said, can you give me a vaccine exempt letter? And she's like, well, you know, why would you need that? And I said, just because I do, and you saw the photos, boom, use what you got. So now I've got a vaccine exempt letter. And the reason I bring this up is because we've got to learn now to discipline our thinking and our decisions really carefully so that we can keep moving forward at a time this challenging. I mean, we are in a planetary pantomime where it's like a strange Orwellian dysfunctional chapter of humanity. And everybody I know pretty much is dealing with all kinds of bizarre things. And for me, I'm finally taking my body into the shop and getting, you know, a few things overhauled, because I've been avoiding all that. I've been focused on evolution and, you know, helping us get through this pandemic and watching these presidential debates. Ouch, God, that was painful. On the other hand, wow, what a great piece to the puzzle. I mean, these are unprecedented times. And so as I'm thinking of how can I best serve you guys in this particular show, while I'm not showing my face, but I want to talk about the remedies that I've been using to function and to be functional at a time when everybody is being so tested, including me, and maybe including Alfred. I guess we'll hear when my segment is over. But I want to talk about not only remedies, but ways of being where I look at myself as really changed. And this 8 months or 9 months of being, locked away from other people in general and encouraged when we go out in public to accept seeing everybody with a puppy face. They've got a mask on half their face. And some of the people feel so scared about what the news told them that they're alone in their car wearing a mask. Now, I have a few highly conscious friends or friends with health issues that don't want to disable their health or make it difficult for themselves to breathe. And they're very clear about their parameters, but going out in public it's really a challenge now. So let's talk about grace, because that is going to be most important to help us get through this time without getting angry, without getting triggered, without angering other people, without honking and flipping the bird out our window. How can we function at a higher frequency? And the only way to do that is to discipline our thinking and to realize, what is it about us that triggers those emotions? And why is it that when I am so angry in my car, that maybe I do or don't affect those people I'm angry at? So wouldn't I have a better day if I wouldn't be so angry? And that's kind of what I learned over the years of almost forcing myself into forgiveness when people did heinous things to me. And I had to make a choice. Do I want to sit around angry and wishing them dead and casting spells, No, I don't. That's not who I am. And I know better, because it ends up just hurting you or hurting me. And I did post recently on Faceplant that forgiveness has been one of my hardest tests, because I don't want to think of myself as righteous, but I believe in honor and honesty. And every time I've made a personal, private friend, not work, not online, the first thing I say when we're one-on-one is, the one thing you know about me, you need to know about me if you want to be my friend, don't ever lie to me. You can tell me just about anything. You can do anything you want. It's your life. But don't ever lie to me, or we won't be friends. And this has been an amazing new discipline, because how many people do you know that all of a sudden don't feel like you're friends anymore? You've known them 10 years, and all of a sudden, politics or the mask or the social distancing or any one of the strange things that's coming up now to separate people. Are you guys noticing that all of a sudden you're trying so hard, but you just can't resonate? I know that I am. And I had a good friend that I've known for quite a while, and all of a sudden we were giving each other the warnings of, we need to not talk about politics. And it just doesn't work when everybody is getting so riled up now. But the politics are so massively separated that even if you hate the president of the United States right now, and you find him all these whatever adjectives you want to go through, if you actually took the time to look at the, what are they called, executive orders that man has pulled off just in the last year. How about all 4 years? You would drop to your knees to see what he's done that nobody's talking about. My own mother, I had to unfriend her. She was furious because when, for some reason, there's you've got the TDS, the Trump syndrome, where you're just so filled with hatred, and it's really hurting a lot of friendships, relationships, couples, marriages. Oh my gosh. And it broke me up when it was Obama times with my best friend. But I was never as passionate as I am now watching history change this quickly. And when the debates were there, even though it was like two high school boys yelling at each other and interrupting each other, there's a much bigger picture going on. And the bigger picture is, what is all this hate in America toward Trump from certain groups of people? And what is it that he's doing so big that's making that many people hate him that much or be that scared of him? I think they're that scared of him. Why? The very first thing he promised was to take down human trafficking. And any of us that are watching all these videos and watching the evolution of the Epstein, Maxwell cases, you can't help but know this thing is so much bigger than anybody mentioned. It is so much bigger than we can even imagine, and it's gone on forever. I mean, since ancient times, since Egyptian times, it's hideous to know that they've been doing terrible things to children as a delicacy for hundreds of years. Hideous history. So what are we doing now? Here we are in 2020. We are caught up in the all of a sudden awareness that, holy crap, they are trafficking more people than drugs right now. It is a bigger industry than anything, and there's somebody in your neighborhood that's involved. Or that's, I mean, it is scary as crap. That's all I can say, that things are as bad as they are. But 20 years ago, when I did a spiritual tour with a fabulous woman named Patricia Cotarobulos, and she's still going at it today, with the same eraofpeace.org conversations from spirit. And it was such a reminder that 20 years ago, when we toured Spain and Africa, and we went on a cruise with 100 other light workers, we called ourselves, the focus was talking about the unbelievable period that we are in now. But we thought it was going to be 2012. Timeline moving a little bit slow, so here we are in the biggest great awakening of all time. Unfortunately, our humanity species has been pushing everything to the surface to be healed. And we didn't know the sewer, the swamp, was this big. So this is why I think we've all been locked up. I really think that there is so much cleanup going on and so many people being removed from society that all of us are being closed in our homes to be given a personal choice. What are you going to do while you have all this time? Are you going to sit around griping about what you can't do? Or are you going to clean your closet and clear your mind? Are you going to think about how you can upgrade your work with more cleverness, with more focus, with more detail? Because now we're really discouraged from all the things that I know I used to do. It used to be fun going shopping, but now it's not for me. To see everybody in the muzzle, their cute little mask that might match their outfit, I'm so offended by it. And the reason I am offended is because I don't believe it's true. So I'm not going to make people mad that are scared and worried and driving around in their car with their own mask on by themselves. Who knows? There might be people that put the mask on in the shower, you know, in case the water has COVID. I shouldn't even say the word. But I'm not meaning to laugh at anyone. I think that we're all in the perfect place at the perfect time. But I want us to be really conscious of what it is that we put out when we are angry, or what is it that we put out when we feel blessed and grateful, filled with gratitude. which takes us to, let's talk about the plasma field as it relates to our emotions and communications. So emotions is energy in motion. So as we send our energy out by communicating with others, how is it that they can feel what it is we're saying? And it's because everything is plasma. And the more conscious we are, and the higher we move our own personal frequency, the more we're going to be able to affect others with our thoughts, feelings, words, and actions, which literally is the plasma field. So we can affect everything outside ourselves with really serious intentional thoughts and feelings because we are that strong. So I know that I'm using the discipline my thinking method repeatedly because I want to help. I don't want to hinder. And I am listening to so many videos of people that have evidence, that show documents, not the woo-woo, fluff, my perception is, or here's my reading on it, or my third-party friend said this. I want evidence because as a documentary filmmaker, I document. I want the data so that I can feel safe that I'm stepping on a strong foundation. And I think the way that I've gotten to be a nicer person, and I know that I am, because when shit comes my way, I don't react anymore. And when I'm in a group of people or with someone or at a store or dealing with an incident, if it just makes me feel uncomfortable, I don't blame them. I choose to take myself away from the situation because it's a mixture of like oil and water. And the longer you stay in the, well, why are you wearing a mask? You know, whatever it is that doesn't feel good. You have to say to yourself, do I even want to be here? And the answer, if you're really focusing yourself on raising your personal frequency and making conscious choices to benefit your life, you're going to take yourself out of the situation instead of being there and getting mad. And that for me is the essence of recalibration. It's in that moment saying, I choose to shift myself and walk away from this rather than make them wrong. And when you discipline your thinking and recalibrate the energy of what you were maybe automatically feeling and shift it into a gentle, well, hey, I hope you have a great day, and just leave, you're going to have a much happier day. So when I get around people that aren't watching what's going on, don't even know that there are riots, don't even know that there's fires, it's like, why is it so smoky? Oh my God, it's choking smoky in Boulder, Colorado. I live in the mountains in my canyon, and I live in a canyon where there's this big swoop of a hillside in front of me, and it was so smoky that across the street it was blue, and then it was gray on the hill behind it. I mean, it is so smoky, and we don't have fires here. So worst case, I'm thinking, oh my God, what if they're laying chemtrails above the smoke and the fire and, you know, double whammy of, and here I am going into all this, what used to be conspiracy thinking. But then slightly later, the clouds opened the smoke, not really clouds, kind of opened up and boom, there it was, chemtrails. Now, I haven't seen them much lately. I love it that they cut back the flights. I mean, there are some things about this reset of our planet that are going to be good for us ultimately and help, shall we say, the environment a little bit. But people are getting back to the cars and the fumes and the, you know, and traffic. So I feel like a lot of it is coming back, but there's still the threat of the senators and the mayors that want to hold on to their power and keep their people locked down and this ridiculousness. There's enough evidence out there that we know the CDC has backtracked on those numbers. They admitted that the numbers were extremely inflated. And so every time I'm watching news and they're saying, oh, you know, there's a lot more cases every day and more people dying, well, it's really just not true. And I think the greatest answer to that was the meme where you see a meth lab or the train wreck, and they have just a photo of the emergency room, and they said, oh, meth lab blew up, must have been a coronavirus cases. You know, they're calling everything that. But ultimately, the truth is coming out now. And I think it's going to be one of those really breathtaking chapters. Like, you remember when 9/11 happened? And everybody just stopped breathing. A lot of us fell to our knees, just like holding our head in our hands, not being able to believe what we're seeing repeatedly shown on TV of the planes or whatever they were going into the towers that crumbled. The breathtaking moment, I think, is about to happen again as somehow this president or this government stops all fake media and gives a message to the people, which is about perhaps what's going on at Guantanamo Bay. Is it true? We don't know, but I think it is. I think that there is a huge cleanup going on. And the first thing this president promised is to drain the swamp. And everybody that hates him, the loudest voices are the most guilty. And the names that are being dropped now, officially, by this Epstein-Maxwell case include, of course, the highest people in government in this country, for a few different terms. So America is in for a painful, painful surprise when the news gets real. And I don't think this two different extremely opposite narratives can go on much longer. The truth is going to be painful, but it is what they dread most. It is what these fires are partially about. But it's also land grab, as most of you know, and they're being set with directed energy weapons, most likely. I wasn't there seeing them pull the trigger, so I can't absolutely say it's true, but it appears that there's enough evidence to show that a lot of these fires are intentional. What I find most alarming is that I live in a country where senators and mayors are so evil that they would allow their cities to be burned down, that they would allow their citizens and their police to be locked out of certain areas unless they were part of the Klan. When they took over in Seattle and created that whole chop zone, and the government head said it's the summer of peace, why are these people not in jail yet, is my question. And these are the same people keeping their citizens who pay their bills, their income. The citizens are paying the income of these government employees that are supposed to be here to serve us, and they are letting people die. This has been stunning. Cuomo in New York with the senior homes, letting people die, actually creating scenarios to happen. And we know that this is a spiritual war. We know that we're really deep in it. And so the only thing we can do is realize that each one of us, even if you live with a mate, a partner who you really love, we are still each in it on our own. And each and every one of us matters. What can we do personally? We cannot sit silent, that's for sure. We need to see what part we can play to help make a difference in the evolution that we are dealing with right now. But if we don't, things could easily get worse. I had a conversation today. I'm loving catching up with old friends. And the photo of me in the crop circle was a chapter that ended for me a few years ago when ufology was infiltrated and completely changed. So I had 10 years of ecstasy filming crop circles in England. I had 10 years of ecstasy, winning 8 awards, including 5 EBEs at the International UFO Congress Convention. It was amazing and a gift from God to be walking amongst, in my opinion, the masters of ufology, the 4-star generals, the astronauts, the real researchers who were there, who saw the craft, who were at the rescue site. I mean, there have been some stunning moments. And when I was filming in 2008 and 9 and 10 and 11, the greats were still around, but all of a sudden they started to die off one by one by one by one. And things changed. The gigs changed. All of a sudden, the whole energy at the UFO conferences changed. And it changed so much that, in my opinion, it felt dangerous. And I stopped going. I made a solid commitment to keep my eyes open because I didn't feel safe. And when I let go of my career, it was something I needed to do. I felt to rescue to save my life. I've had a couple of very serious threats on my life, and I chose to leave the field. And I'm very lucky, frankly, to be alive. And now that I'm dealing with medical issues, it's really interesting to go to doctors that don't know me and they ask me, how did that happen? And I can't really tell them because the things that I've been through as a ufologist, as an award-winning UFO filmmaker, the threat that people must have felt because of what I knew, I had no idea that was going on. But my final film exposed the reason they're hiding crop circles. So as my parting gift to you beautiful people, I want to give you my website with a free link because the last 4 films that I made are available for you to see for free. And it's called cropcirclefilms.com/free. My final film, I believe, is what they were worried that I would discover, and I did. All those early years, I was traveling to England, going in the crop circles, all about the feeling and the electromagnetic field and the stimulation and the crappies that were there every day with me. You know, my favorite friend, Janet Osabard, she's in half of my films, but she's the one that just produced that fabulous series called Fall of the Cabal. Definitely, everybody listening to this show, trust me, you got to go see Fall of the Cabal. They've got it kind of chopped up on YouTube, but if you go to BitChute, you can see the whole thing. And my God, she put together something absolutely stunning. There's also Out of Shadows, another film I highly recommend. But more than anything, in my career, when I made my final film, Crop Circle Diaries, I admitted the things that I went through in the crop circles that were the strangest things that most people could not believe. And I think the most amazing one was meeting the scientist William Levengood a year after he died. And the story is so weird that I'm not even going to start on this show because I'm just about to my ending. But the punchline is, why was he brought to me after he died in such an apparent way that I couldn't close my eyes or ears? And the bottom line is, I was in the fields, but I didn't know the science or the benefits to the plants. What happens when the seeds are bent over in a second? People see these balls of light sometimes, if you're lucky, and there's famous footage that a lot of famous people have poo-pooed. I proved it was real, and you can see how real it was in Crop Circle Diaries. and also in 2 of my other films. But I'm going to stick with my final film because it is the punchline of why they're hiding the crop circle phenomenon. The seeds inside crop circles are growing 30 to 400% more food and biofuel per plant, with up to 75% more nutrition per seed. Why is this important? It's important because we can save the food supply by using this spinning plasma technology that's happening to the seeds inside crop circles. And William Levengood, the scientist, discovered by experimenting with the germination chamber in his lab that he could reproduce it by creating a charge density plasma machine, which I have a photo of. And I know because I did my last film with Penny Kelly, who turned out to be the secret partner of William Levengood, the crop circle scientist, for the last 16 years of his life. And a year after he died, I was brought to Michigan in the strangest way, but then I was brought to meet Penny Kelly. And she and I made Crop Circle Diaries together, and even though I thought I knew everything about it, I had no idea how important crop circles are, and can be moving forward, because this technology can be reproduced. And when we get rid of Monsanto Bayer, all the other satanic food companies that are poisoning our food supply, we will be able to use this technology as one of the many to bring back our food supply and create organic seeds again that we can reproduce. And this to me is extremely important. I know that my films were compromised more severely than anybody can imagine. So I think that I was kind of one of those test rats, you know, in the beginning, because my films were threatening to those that don't want us to heal the food supply. I was the only crop circle researcher, filmmaker that was making movies and then went into Lefty's lab and learned about the science. Lefty is William Levengood. And in my home, I have 4 physical gifts from him, from his estate, a year after he died, when I met him, no longer in the flesh. And they're all horses. One is the pipe that he smoked. One is the alien bookmark that he used. Very interesting, antique, weird horse things that he collected. But I keep it near me because I like the energy of William Levengood's magic and wonder in my home. And that curiosity has given me award-winning films. So again, I welcome you to my website, cropcirclefilms.com. I sell DVDs of all the movies. I sell the whole collection set, half price in a box. We ship all over the world. But the films, I realize, are becoming more important than ever, because now the few times when I look at what's going on with crop circle wisdom out there in the world, they've got all these phony faces saying all crop circles are fake, all crop circles are human made. And it's like, I won't even respond. I just can't do the fight with people that want to be in that level of integrity, in that frequency that I was saying. I don't fight it, I walk away. And when people make really rude or insulting comments on my wall, my films, whatever, I don't even discuss it anymore. If they're really extreme, it's so easy to block. And then it's done. Then you got room for one more friend, you know? So we need to honor ourselves more than anything and start taking care of us and our health. And when we make that first, then it helps us be here longer and healthier and happier, so that we can help take care of others. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. And especially at my age and Alfred's age, I'm in my 60s, he's in his 70s. And what is our secret? I got to say, he and I are both doing this amazing product that is part of the company that I own, and it's called C60, Carbon 60, ESS 60, the miracle molecule. And I really believe that it's one of the only reasons I am still in this condition with the stuff I've been through in the last 4 years with people that didn't have my best interest in mind. So briefly, I just want to say that Alfred is one of our promoters for C60 Evo. And I'm also very proud to say that this week I became officially the CEO of C60 Evo, which to me is just kind of a nice thing because I don't plan on ever doing anything else. This product, this molecule changed my life. And I know that it's elongated my ability to survive whatever, a lot of pain, and to do it in grace and to keep my mind evolving rather than going into a place of blame and anger. Even though I said forgiveness is a little tricky, not at all like it has been the rest of my life. So I wish everybody massive comfort and evolution. And if you want to make it easy on yourself, I'm telling you, C60, the miracle molecule, works wonders. It helps you sleep better, which makes you feel better all day long. But the mental attributes are shocking. Like the emotional balance when normally you'd go, how can I be this disciplined? I give a lot of credit to C60, to ESS 60, which is the highest, purest form of C60, the carbon 60 molecule. And C60 Evo, which is c60evo.com, is where you can buy the best C60 on the market because my partners happen to be the men that created the machine, the reactor, 30 years ago that's been manufacturing the best and purest forms of C60, as well as lower purity C60 for industrial purposes and research purposes for the last 30 years. They know what they're doing. Lucky me. I'm partners with the greats, the ones that have been doing it. They've also got the only real lab in America, I'm pretty sure, manufacturing C60 with proper gear. So many blessings. Take good care of yourselves so that you can be here to take care of everybody else. Over and out, Captain.
Well, thank you very much for that inspiring tour de force over the crop circle field,
Right?
as it were, both actually and symbolically.
Right.
And so for our next segment, we technically have to stop sharing and then we have to reshare. That is something that has to be done technically. So now we're going to share again, and we're going to go here, and we will start here. And this is one of those unexpected NewsEvolution convergences, because we have arrived at the newly transformed Universe Books website. And welcome to Universe Books and the Hero's Journey. And following my inner guidance, all of my books, and Patty will know about this because she's gone through it with her films, all of my books in ebook form at universebooks.com are now by donation. So readers can access and read them for free if they wish, and can also donate what they wish for each book at universebooks.com, and that's the blog address. And so I invite you who are listening to download donation copies of any of the following books at universebooks.com, as all of my books flow from my extraterrestrial experiences and from my hero's journey. Now, what is the hero's journey? And that diagram there is part of the hero's journey. Now, I have a large version of the hero's journey, and we'll sort of put it here. And on the inner circle, the hero starts out on the inner circle with a call to adventure, and that's what happened to me in 1973. And so then you meet the monitor, which are the ETs, you know, and you cross the threshold, and you have tests. You meet allies and enemies. You approach the utmost thing. You have the ordeal of the abyss facing the shadow self. You pass the apotheosis when, you know, you almost meet your God self and you're made into gods. You have the ultimate thing. You have a refusal to return to the world. You have the road back home. You have the master of two worlds, and then you return to the world with special knowledge and ascend to a higher plane, the ascension in place, as it were. So that's kind of the hero's journey, and Joseph Campbell talks about that, but it's sort of a metaphor for what many of us go through in the spiritual transformations. And it's a metaphor for, I look at it for my life, which starting with my interdimensional experience in 1973, which started, as you recall, January 73 was Watergate. Watergate's a part of the temple. And I walked through my Watergate straight into an interdimensional experience. So we can go through the books available at universebooks.com. Emergence of the Universe, of the Omniverse is available there. It's been reviewed as, quote, a highly important book to raise consciousness about accessing spiritual freedom in the Omniverse on New Earth by letting go of the transhumanist agenda, artificial intelligence singularity, and false afterlife, interlife reincarnation matrix. There's Deo, the dimensional ecology of the Omniverse, which came out in 2014, and that's a book, humble as it is, credited with co-discovering the Omniverse. I mean, talk about stuff, man. In 2014, as a cosmological body, along with the universe and the multiverse through which humanity understands the cosmos. Now, to put this in context, the universe was discovered by the Sumerian astronomers around 3500 BC, and the multiverse was first coined by the American scientist William James in 1895. Well, in 2014, the book, The Dimensional Ecology of the Omniverse, which you can get at universebooks.com by a simple download, actually co-discovered the Omniverse as a new cosmological body. So there you have it. As my other half, Jerry says, PhD, Jerry DeStefano Weber, she says, Alfred, you're 100 years ahead of your time. So you can go there right now, 100 years ahead of the time, and you can download the book that co-discovered the Omniverse, 100 years ahead of its time. It's time travel. Then you can come to My Journey Landing Heaven on Earth and download that. And one reviewer of My Journey Landing Heaven on Earth writes, your autobiography is, in my opinion, the 21st century equivalent of both Augustine of Hippo's Confessions and the Confession of Jean-Jacques Rousseau. Your autobiography is revolutionary, as were the autobiographies of those two individuals, in the sense that it has innovated why and how an autobiography is written. Similar to the two autobiographies mentioned above, in your own autobiography, you have the immense courage to share with the reader both your hardships and your achievements through various phases of your current incarnation, and in a candid and original manner. Your autobiography stands apart from theirs because you have written it for the altruistic reason of sharing your current, quote, soul journey as a star chart or roadmap to help, to inform, educate, empower, enlighten, and expand the consciousness of humanity on Earth. Your autobiography is another consciousness-raising work par excellence. Mr. Weber, thank you very much for sharing your soul journeys landing heaven on earth thus far. God bless. Then, while you're at universebooks.com, you can download Exopolitics, Politics, Government, and Law in the Universe, the book that founded the science of exopolitics and was time traveled by secret DARPA CIA quantum access time travel program from 2005 back to 1971. And we can go into, we can document it, go into my meeting with DARPA's Project Pegasus secret time travel program. In 1971, I met with DARPA's secret time travel program, about 50 men in suits and coats and ties in 1971 when I was general counsel to the New York City Environmental Protection Administration. They met with me because they had brought my book back from 2005 and they wanted to see what I was like in 1971 because they wanted to know who was this person who in 2005 would publish the book that established the science of exopolitics. And well, as Patty said, they also trained and infiltrated a bunch of people into the ufology and exopolitics field, but we won't go there. But we all know that they were trained by the by the CIA, who time traveled into the field that I developed and then infiltrated it. But that's for Journey 2, which I'm writing now. And so here we have a review of it by the Honorable Paul Hellyer, Minister of National Defense under Canadian Prime Minister Lester Pearson, and Deputy Prime Minister of Canada under Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau. Alfred Lambremont Weber's Odyssey into the realm of life in the vast universe surrounding planet Earth is indeed a fascinating journey if you read it with an open mind, to turn us in the direction of reunification with the rest of creation. The author is proposing a decade of contact, an era of openness, public hearings, publicly funded research and education about extraterrestrial reality. This could be the antidote the world needs to end its greed-driven, power-centered madness. And here's Dr. Brian O'Leary, former NASA astronaut. Much of this book rings true, certainly. Our civilization cannot go on as we have. We will all need the help we can to lift ourselves out of tyranny, genocide, and ecocide. So why not reach out toward those who are clearly more wise? Then you can also download the Levesque cases. The Levesque case is a real life legal thriller, exposes the clandestine corruption of courts in the United States and Canada as attorney Alfred Lambremont Weber pursues the legal vindication in a series of 26 cases against Time Warner Inc., David Rockefeller, then US President George H.W. Bush, Canadian Prime Minister Brian Mulroney, the Rothschilds, the secret Sanhedrin Anunnaki government, and the government of Ontario and its Children Aid Society, against whom Alfred would win a $750 million default judgment, one of the larger in recent Canadian history. Alfred's client in the developed cases was Pierre Richard Levesque, a former Canadian customs officer who in 1973 was abducted into interdimensional spacecraft in a mass abduction with about 150 other members of IAM, the Institute of Applied Metaphysics, a spiritual group based in rural Ontario that the media would mischaracterize as, quote, an Ontario wilderness cult led by Levesque. And you can also come upon and download The Age of Cataclysm by Alfred Lambremont Webre and Dr. Philip Herman List, PhD. The Age of Cataclysm is a 1973 book co-authored by Alfred Lambremont Webre and Philip Herman List, PhD, that integrated parapsychology and modern earth sciences of geology and seismology with biblical and indigenous prophecies and the earth changes predictions of American psychic Edgar Cayce, later declared to be the product of a trickster interdimensional entity by author David Wilcock, who also reported himself Edgar Cayce's reincarnation. You know, we won't go there. Alfred's co-author in The Age of Cataclysm, Professor Philip Herman List, was a professor of experimental psychology at Rutgers University, as well as a psychology and scholar in parapsychology and the study of extraterrestrials. Philip List was also a contactee and abductee of interdimensional intelligent entities. The Age of Cataclysm, written and published as part of the 1973 Watergate turmoil. Watergate refers to a specific entrance to the Jewish temple in Jerusalem, sets out an analysis of the political assassination of John F. Kennedy, the political duopoly of the two-party system in the United States. Co-authors Webre and List propose a publicly financed, debate-based election system in the US, a new constitution more along the lines of a collective executive chosen by proportional representation rather than the monarch-like individual presidency the US founders fashioned. My 1973 interdimensional experience. I was able to present my 1973 interdimensional experience, which unexpectedly began my hero's journey archetype at a conference in Yelm, Washington in July 2017. The interdimensional aspects of the experience are presented here, and the 3D aspects are presented in my book, My Journey Landing Heaven on Earth. And that is the UFO abductions of Jimmy Carter, Alfred Lambremont Webre, and Andrew D. Basiago, A Path to a Positive Future for Humanity in Our Galaxy. And what that is, when you go into all of those links, is that President Jimmy Carter, on January 1st, 1969, myself in February 1973, and Andrew D. Basiago, a US chrononaut, time traveler, at the 3D level in 1977, were all abducted by the same series of positive extraterrestrials. And that was in preparation for Jimmy Carter's ascendance to the presidency. He was elected in 1976, and it was while up there in the abduction, Andrew Basiago, the extraterrestrials, showed Andrew Basiago, myself being abducted so that they would be a witness there. Andrew Basiago is an attorney, and he was able to witness that I was abducted up there. And I was being prepared to be director of the Carter White House Extraterrestrial Communication Project in 1977. So this is where the extraterrestrials prepared all of that sort of in their 5D in the interdimensional dimension of the spacecraft, which then came down, and it was to now the full hidden history behind the 1980 October surprise by the shadow government can really be revealed. And that's why the Bushes, George H.W. Bush was head of the CIA, went over to Iran and made a deal to derail the hostage rescue until Reagan could come in, because they were working on behalf of the reptilians, all of those parties. And whereas in the Carter abduction, we were working on behalf of light-oriented extraterrestrials, evolutionary. And that's a link to my bio. Now, this is the emergence of, just to go through what the emergence of the Omniverse book, and it was reviewed by a by UK Dowser Penny Arnold, who said, "Hi, Alfred. Thanks so much. I have checked out 3 questions relating to your book, Emergence of the Omniverse, and the levels I saw in my dowsing chart for all 3 were literally out of this dimension. My chart is numbers from 0 to 100, which I take as a percentage, and my pendulum moving. And my questions were, show me the level of importance of this book is published." And that was 180, in other words, out. How much power does this book have to help raise consciousness of humans who read it? 180, so it's out and above 100%. How successful will this book be? Out and about 100%. And that's UK dowser Penny Arnold, is a very famous British dowser. This is The Dimensional Ecology of the Omniverse, the book that discovered the Omniverse. And these are some of the descriptions there and how you can download it there by donation, which you can enter 0 if you want, do it for free. Here's my journey landing heaven on earth and all of the background there. And here is the book Exopolitics, and you can download it there. And what people are saying by Exopolitics. Here's Paul Davids, executive producer of the film Roswell, starring Martin Sheen. Time magazine has an annual practice of selecting the man or woman of the year. A more appropriate ritual for the new millennium might be to select the mind of the year. And if that were so, Alfred Lambremont Webre would rank high on my list of suggested nominees. Among modern philosophers, Webre finds himself one of a very select few at the center of the birth of a discipline critical to the of critical importance for the future, exopolitics. So boom, there you go. And you know, there's a lot of the background there. As Patty says, before exopolitics was infiltrated by there, and this is the Spanish version by a company in Spain of the book Exopolitics. And this is the Levesque cases. It was published in 1990. and you can download that. And this is The Age of Cataclysm by Alfred Webre and Philip Herman Liss. Is the world as we know it about to end? And so that is the journey. Welcome to exopolitics.com, just as it's welcome to cropcirclefilms.com. And I think it's very balanced. And Patty and I didn't plan this at all, where we have a joint, we have in NewsEvolution, welcome to cropcirclefilms.com and welcome to universebooks.com. And this was not planned at all, but welcome to universebooks.com and the hero's journey. And so that's it. So I'll stop the share now and just come to Patty. Do you have any comments that you'd like to share? Or
Well, yes, I thought it was really interesting. Again, we always resonate to something similar without even planning it today.
right? Isn't that amazing?
Well,
I mean,
it's
that is
perfect.
totally that is just amazing to me.
It's amazing and perfect because it was the first time listening to all the descriptions of your massive body of work and then realizing that I had talked about my 8 films and going in the crop circles and doing all my own filming, which I didn't even talk about, and going in the planes and filming, and then later going, I did not just do that, but as here we are now a little bit older looking at this massive body of work. Why would you write books? Why would I spend my money making movies? And here we are now after probably 30 or 40 shows together since we've known each other. This is my first time realizing what a generous thing it is to take this much time. And so many people in the audience have such great gifts and experiences. And if you can just put it onto paper or roll your story into film and share it with the world for free, which Alfred and I have both been doing now for a little bit of time, for me, it was surrender. I mean, I won't go into, neither will he, the fight of telling the truth in times of universal deceit. I mean, it is expensive, but the punchline is we're on the other side. And so, what a gift your books are now that the stories are over the top. Your experiences where Mr. Captain Ballsy Pants goes to town and sues some of the biggest people in the world, or basically closes his eyes and goes to a multitude of omniverses. A lot of people can be so inspired and then all of a sudden do it themselves. And then with my films, they're free. I mean, it's like, why? Well, I don't want to wait around for people to find them. If they're free, then hopefully someday soon they'll go viral, because here we are watching one of the biggest panels, or I have been, Sasha Stone's thing with David Martin and 30 amazing, brilliant people. And it was today live, and I watched it this morning, but I realized that my 5th movie, called The Shift, has hit the fan. The Shift has hit the fan. I filmed it at the Breakthrough Energy Movement Conference, and it's Sasha Stone, it's David Martin, it's those 2 guys running this thing 7 years later, and here they are in my movie when they were younger. And it's still the same message, though. When you tell the truth, things don't change. And
Very interesting.
so one final story that I forgot to get to the punchline, and I don't know if it's appropriate to tell the audience this, but I'm vulnerable enough. I'm sitting here without being on camera because I have a line of stitches on my face. But the experience of what I just went through, going through 2 different, a biopsy and then a surgery to remove whatever it was from my face, became such a spiritual experience for me this week. And it was a week ago today. But I had a choice. I could totally freak out and think all the worst thoughts and totally panic and all that. Or I could pull up my big girl pants and get the frick over it and be grateful. Like, what am I kidding? I'm going to be grateful somebody's going to do what on my face? But here I am the night before and the day of, and all I was doing was meditating everything that was in my body that needed to come to the surface to be healed was going to go to that place on my face with my plasmic field intention being this strong that every cell in me that is not of this earth, that is not of my good nature, that is not going to help my body be healthy, get the frick out of me, get over to that area, because lucky me, I'm going to drive somewhere and this amazing lady is going to take it from me and I will never see it again. All that darkness, it kind of feels like what's going on in the world. All this darkness is being pushed like squeezing a pore. It's coming to the surface to be healed. And so was that on my face. And I'm lucky. I'm going to admit that I live in Colorado, so there's certain things I'm allowed to do, like chew a delicious gummy on my way down. And when I got there, and it was only a local, I was in the highest place of consciousness because I was choosing to say, thank you, God. Thank you, me. Thank you, Spirit, that I'm able to take all of this energy and choose to make it a positive situation. And it was effortless. And when it was done, I thanked them. And I was so truly grateful because I knew that all this purging I'm doing of detoxing, being poisoned last year with uranium. I mean, I've been through things that nobody should have to go through. On the other hand, I take so much C60 that I have gotten through everything effortlessly and somehow learned to make lemonade out of that lemon. And this surgery, being in such a good mood and being grateful, knowing how lucky I was that somebody could take that off my face and that I can heal and spend the rest of my life being grateful that I got rid of everything I didn't need. And again, it might be my imagination, but you know what? It sure feels better than crying and whining about that I can't fix. I got through it really easily, and I still haven't had a minute of pain, ache, hurt, nothing. And I think a lot of it had to do with my attitude of gratitude. So all of us, whatever you're going to go through, find a way to shift your personal frequency in the way you look at what you're about to go through or what you just lived through. Honor yourself so that you can be here to honor everybody else that you love and care for, and also the rest of the good people and animals on the planet. We've got work to do, and we need to really, really, really take good care of ourselves. So many blessings. I highly, highly, highly recommend, and I know I'm being redundant, but we're at the end, and I just lived through something that made me feel good to be me. And this is not how I was years ago, but I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that I am knowingly making myself a better, healthier person by setting intention and sticking with it, not just talking the talk to myself, but actually following through, being effective, and then having the greatest outcome. So I'm grateful for you, Alfred. I'm grateful for our amazing audience in so many places in the world that will hear this span of thoughts that you and I are having, but also realize that there's all these books they can read. There's all these movies they can watch. and be able to expand their thinking, and maybe even realizing it, you did books, I did movies, that what do they do? I wasn't trained to make movies. I couldn't even tell you what the parts on my camera are called, but I did all my own filming because I decided to. Everyone listening can write a song, create a poem. Everybody's clever in some way. Find your passion, because right now we have a lot of time during this lockdown to remember the possibilities of who we could become and become that, because now we've got the time to do it. And if you can afford it, get yourself on c60evo.com. Get on the olive oil, which holds more C60 than anything else. And I don't mean to say it's kind of cheating, but when it comes to COVID, yeah, C60, 172 times more powerful than vitamin C. We're cheating that CV thing. That's what I want to do, is cheat that. I want to stay well. And I also want to keep my mind mentally balanced. So again, I'm grateful. I'm going through some hard things, but I'm grateful. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Alfred. Back to you.
Well, Patty, thank you very much. And for News Evolution, thank you for joining us. And our next meeting will be after the US election of November 2020. So that should be exciting. And we'll see you then.
All right. Well, I hope the world doesn't fall apart during and after that election, but I swear, I think things are changing enough that they're going to figure out another way to do it so that it doesn't fall
Oh,
apart.
sure. Yeah, I'm
There's too
sure.
many people that care, and a lot of people are waking up.
Exactly. Thank you.
Cheers, everyone.